Okay. I do believe you should be able to hear me now. Yes, you do. Okay, excellent. I don't even know where the hell I am. I know I'm in there somewhere. Okay. What did I do? What did I do? Hello, everybody. Oh, that's what I did there. Oh, got it. I got it under control. Hello, viewers. Um. Oh, that's a terrible background, isn't it? I got to change it. I mean, I got to change it now. Let me work on that, right? There we go. That'll be much better. None of this with the colors. Good evening. Hmm. Today I want to mix up the crazy and the delusional with some real world news. Now, it seems to me that all the news that we seem to cover, that I seem to cover anyway, is always US, Europe, UK, whatever. It's kind of Western. But we've never really touched much on the Russia-Ukraine situation, cultural differences, if there are any, what's happening inside Russia, who can we trust with anything. And I've been following this particular commentator, Konstantin, since a couple of months, since September, I believe, of 2022, when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. So we'll listen to what he has to say, because he's usually up to snuff. But before we hear him, we're just going to have to catch up with the crazy and the delusional. Right now, and we'll drop in right now. Shanny is live.
Legitimately trying to search for Gavin.
So she's just really not providing anything substantive whatsoever. So we can kind of just forget about her, really. Why is everything so Oh, my sweater's purple. Maybe that's why. So we don't have to worry about Shanny. Forget about Shanny. But we will go and visit our friend Von Helton. I think that Von Helton is the reason that the internet was invented. So we're going to go and say, hey, Von Helton, excuse me, my friend, but do you have anything new for us? Do you have anything to say? You have anything to teach us, show us, anything like that? He's going to say no. He'll talk anyway. But here he is, Von Helton, with today's wisdom.
All righty. I am smiling.
Friday.
And you know what that means, trolls and haters. When I'm smiling, that means you're going to be crying.
Oh my God.
Because good old Von Helton has been verified by none other than the FBI, although they may not have necessarily meant it to be so. What am I talking about? Years and years and years and years ago, when I first got started on YouTube, I told you a story about a particular science lab that had successfully created a portal. And just as they're about to pop the champagne corks, something on the other side of that portal started banging on the portal trying to get through it.
Sure.
Now, this was years and years and years ago. Okay. And at the time, the trolls and the haters was like, oh, that's a bullshit story. That's a bullshit story. Well, it turns out that the FBI has released a document. And that document is from a research lab that, guess what, class? Oh, they were working on interdimensional beings. And the document goes into specific details on that very thing. I just watched a video about the document where Grok has taken it piece by piece and said it's from such and such research facility. It's not an FBI document in the sense that the FBI authored the document. It's an FBI document in the sense that the FBI cataloged the work that was done at this research facility. You follow me? And so the topic of discussion from the beginning is interdimensional beings and portals. So your old pal Von Helton here has just been completely and 100% exonerated by the FBI thanks to this document. Whether they intended to do so or not, they have totally vindicated me. And I know this is going to be a sad day for the trolls because, once again, Von Helton was right about something he said. And this time I got the FBI to back me up because it was it wasn't their document, but it was a document that they cataloged. You follow me? So, the truth makes strange bedfellows. And so, ironically, it's the FBI that has once again completely and totally vindicated me and verified that what I say is true. So, the next time you hear a troll saying, oh, Von Helton's a liar, Von Helton's this, Von Helton's that, well, just say, well, now, wait a minute. The FBI just released a document that proves Von Helton was telling the truth. And so, yeah. Also, too, let me quickly add, my personal ETs that I communicate with in Kentucky, and that I think one is still with me, at least one, possibly three, but at least one. I believe them to be corporeal as you and me, just as solid as you and me. And these transitory entities are probably also physical, but it's just that they use a different method of travel. Choosing to travel through time as opposed to traveling through a wormhole or what have you. But let me stress, that my particular group of ETs that I have been communicating with, I believe to be corporeal entities due to the fact that I watched them open both types of warp. The blue circle warp that you see in Babylon 5, where they make a blue circle out in front of the craft, and then they slide through the blue circle and gone. There's that type of warp, and then there's the conventional warp from Star Trek, where the vehicle lights up and then it's gone. So I've seen both types of warp from my particular ETs that I have communicated with. So I believe them to be corporeal. Now, could it be that they do use time as a method of travel? I don't know. Are they from an alternate reality? I don't know. I doubt it. I think they're from here personally, but I could be wrong on that. And I have a Celtic as usual. But it doesn't matter. They're cool with me. I'm cool with them, and that's all that really matters, right? Oh, by the way, trolls, just so you know, When the moon was over this building over here, my ET buddy was parked right under it. And then when I went into the building and then come back out again, the moon had shifted to its zenith right above, right? And so my buddy takes his craft and moves it back once again directly under the moon. Now, I have no idea what that means, but it obviously means something. So I'm going to try and see if I can figure out what it means. But it's some kind of message. But one thing I wanted to stress to you trolls and haters is the fact that it obviously isn't a star at that point, is it? Because it literally moved its position from over here where the moon was to directly under the moon again. And in fact, it followed the moon the whole way on its travel across the sky. It just kept repositioning its ship right directly underneath the moon. Okay, so obviously it is not a star. Now,
I say he's full of it.
I don't know if my buddy has buddies. I think it has two buddies, but I didn't see them. I only saw it. But and I thought it was kind of cute, actually. You know, made me wonder if this particular ET isn't female after all. You know, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? You know,
No, not at all.
Communicating with the female of the species instead of the male. I don't know. What do you think, guys? Think I got a shot, man? Think I got a shot? I'm kidding, maybe. But anyways, the point is that, yeah. So, Sharpie, what do you want, buddy? You want a drink? Want a drink of water? Want a drink of water? Quit shaking you're shaking the cup, dog. You're hitting it so hard. I'm hitting it hard, man.
He's always giving the dog shit. Never good dog, good boy. Hey, Sharpie, nice. Never anything like that at all. Good boy.
Better?
Shut up, hush.
Is that better?
Get in the back. Under your blanket. Leave me alone.
He's gonna die. He don't drink no water. Well, you guys shut up. I mean, really, just shut up. You don't know what's going on here any more than a man on the moon. Or a man in the moon. Could the moon be hollow? That's another theory that's going around.
Oh, is that right?
You know, a lot of these old things that were around years ago are starting to get revitalized due to the fact that we now know that we're not alone. I mean, it's pretty much a genuine consensus at this point that we are not alone. It's just, you know, and you know, then as to what extent are we not alone? I mean, there is a really different 57 different types of ET. You know, and stuff like that, and what kind of, you know, we know we got the straw-shaped craft, and we got the tic-tac-shaped craft, and we got an egg-shaped craft, and we got a box-shaped craft, and we got a saucer-shaped craft. So I mean, you know, different shapes of craft, and so then you got to determine, okay, who's in them. Anything with a V wing or a triangle is probably going to be ours, because we're still kind of hung up on the aerodynamic shit. They left that a long time ago, obviously. Sharpie dog.
See, he's an abuser. The Sharpie dog's in a little bit of distress. You can hear it in his panting.
What are we doing?
See, listen, it's loud.
Sharpie. All right, I can't work the machine now. You got to be able to work the machine. All right. Anyway.
Help me, Daddy. Help me, Daddy, please. I'm right in your face. right here, ready for you to help me.
What a ham. You're such a ham dog.
The fucking asshole, this guy. I just want to pop him in the face. Like in Minecraft. But shit, man. I just can't handle watching animal abuse.
You know that. Anyways, as I got distracted there for a minute, but anyways, back to reality. But yeah, so there we are, folks. What do you think of that shit, huh? Turns out good old Vaughn here has been totally vindicated by the FBI, whether they realize it or not. I think that's awesome. And I just had to share because somebody was talking about it in a video, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that totally vindicates me. And so, yeah, I've been 100% vindicated by the FBI, boys and girls. Now what? Now what, trolls and haters? You can't say this one's bullshit, can you? Because the FBI...
Yes, we can. It's bullshit. This man is delusional, ladies and gentlemen. This channel does not support the opinions of this person.
FBI released a document on this very topic. Huh, Sharpie? And I got to turn the ear back on, don't I, buddy? Yep, we got to.
You know, I've always heard of people through the generations, I guess, doing things like blackface, you know, presenting themselves in blackface. But Von Helton seems to have gone one step further, as he presents black hands every day. He's presenting himself in black hand. Black hand. Okay, corny joke.
Turn the ear back on, don't we, buddy? Yes, we do. There we go. All right, there we go. Would you calm down? You need to calm down. You need to calm down. Look at him trying to root. Look at him rooting to get my arm around him.
He's asking for help.
Isn't that awful? What a spoiled rotten. Spoiled rotten brat you are.
You're a piece of shit.
That was spoiled rotten brat, huh, sure.
Von Helton, you're a piece of shit. And I had to stop this to tell you so that my words wouldn't get drowned out. Look at this. Fucking. Somebody go and call the police, because he's doing bad deeds. Von Helton does bad deeds.
Yes, I am. That was spoiled rotten brat, ain't you? Yes, you are.
And you're laughing
he's
about
gonna die just any second, right, trolls? Huh? Isn't that right? Yeah. Oh, he's gonna die just any second. It's just so horrible. He's just gonna die just any second.
He's making fun of the whole thing.
What's the matter with you guys, man? Are you high? Speaking of which, I have these garbage bags on my windows because the sun out here apparently is like a billion degrees warmer than the sun on the East Coast.
Yep. As
I'm
he
used
says.
to East Coast sun, and so this West Coast sun is a lot hotter apparently when it's coming through windows, at least. Because I notice when the sun comes through windows, I mean, it gets hot, don't get me wrong, but it ain't nowhere near like it is out here. So, and this is the winter. I'd hate to see what the summer's like. Holy sheep dip that, man. That sun coming through the windows is going to be unbelievable. So, of course, by then I hope to be in an actual domicile. So everything will be just ducky. Anyways, it is 11 minutes in, so I better get my ass off of here. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that good old Vaughn was right yet again. Suck it up, buttercups. I was right again. Alrighty, folks. I got some more news for you. Catherine Austin Fitts has alleged that the government, our loving government, has taken $21 trillion, trillion with a T as in Tom, not billion, not million, trillion, $21 trillion, and has used that to make numerous underground cities, not portals, not little cubicles or something, actual cities, fully furnished, fully prepared to go. For the elites, not for you and me. $21 trillion, folks, of our money. It's our money. Remember, it's our money. The government does not make money itself. It's our money. Okay, so they took $21 trillion of our money and built underground cities for the elites. Musk's underground train, maglev trains, that go at hyper speed, whatever that is. I mean, supposedly these hyper trains can take people, from one side of the continent to the other in minutes. My maglev train can get them from LA to New York in 2 hours. His maglev train, his hyper trains can get them there in minutes. Now you say, Vaughn, how in the world are they doing that without killing everybody inside? Because they put a bubble of pressure around everything. And in that way, it doesn't hurt the people at all. People are not harmed at all.
A bubble.
And as long as that bubble is maintained, you'll be just fine. Of course, if the bubble bursts, and you're going that fast, yeah, there won't be nothing left. I mean, they won't even be able to scrape it off the windows. Okay, there'll be nothing. There'll be nothing but a. I don't think even the greasy spot would be left, to be honest, because they're going so damn fast. Anyway, the point is, Elon Musk's hypertrains. To quote the video, technology that we have not yet seen because it has not been revealed to us little people. Okay, so yeah, so wow. Now here's, yeah, you say, well, Vaughn, even if you don't like the fact that it's for the elites, at least it is a monumental achievement, which it is. That's true. There's just one teeny tiny little problem I have with it. They used our money. The Rothschild family alone has so much money that we don't even have an English word for it. I think the highest we go is zillion, right?
The Rothschild family has, if you think a zillion is the amount of money that the Rothschilds have, well, let me tell you something, Von Helton. I am a Rothschild, and you are way wrong. Because if you think the Rothschilds only have $1 zillion, that's chump change, petty cash. Let me just say, Von Helton, that we Rothschilds, we have hundreds of zillions of dollars. So don't think that we don't have the means to fund the building of these underground cities. And you don't have to go blabbing about it to everybody, okay? It's none of your business or theirs. It's ours.
I think that's the highest word we got is zillion. And there are several levels above that. That's just the Rothschilds. That's not getting into the Rockefellers, who are close behind. Now, they are at $1 zillion, or just under $1 zillion, I think. All right. Yes, may I help you? May I help you?
Oh, fuck.
Did I turn the air off too quick? Is that what I done? Did I turn the air off too quick? Anyway, he likes to photobomb my videos. Apparently, this is going to be a common thing. Is this going to be a common thing?
Yeah, as long as you keep on abusing.
Anyways, so yeah, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, why didn't they reach into their deep pockets and fund this instead of the American taxpayer? Because if the American taxpayer funds it, we should be the ones that reap the rewards, right? Yeah, it's our money. It ain't Rothschild's money. It ain't Rockefeller's money. It ain't Carnegie's money. It ain't Warburg's money. It ain't Vanderbilt's money. It's our money. Now, if the elites had used their own money to build these massive cities underground, I wouldn't be able to say a word. But they didn't. They used our money, taxpayer money, folks. Taxpayer money. Now, nobody has come forward to validate this. However, talk about underground cities has been around for years. They killed Phil Schneider because he released this information years ago. Remember? Oh, wait, I forgot. He supposedly committed suicide. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, he did not commit suicide. Phil Schneider was murdered because he told too much. He told about underground cities, and he told about the reptilians and greys that were down there and some of the horrible things they were doing down there. And, well, we can't have that, boys and girls, so we got to off him. We got to get rid of him. He's telling too much. So we got to get rid of him. And that's what they done. Period. End of story. Anyways, but yeah, according to Fitz, $21 trillion, folks. Let that sink in a minute. 21 trillion with a T as in Tom. Rumsfeld gets behind a podium and says we can't account for $2.3 trillion. Well, we suddenly found it, didn't we? If the story holds true. Now, Fitz maintains this is absolute truth. And so, notice that it's Fitz that says it, not on Helton trolls and haters. But anyway, Fitz maintains this is 100% true. And if it is true, even if it's just mildly true, Because we know they got DUMBs, deep underground. Deep underground. I forget the rest of it, but anyway, it's underground.
Deep underground military bases. This guy is so thick.
Facilities. So we know those exist. But anyways, but yeah. And by the way, once you go so far down into the earth, it stays a constant 53 degrees year round. Isn't that neat how that does that? I wonder why it does that. Yeah, I know why it does that, because the earth is a natural insulator. Did you know that? Yeah, it's true. Stays 53 degrees year round once you go down so far. I forget how many feet it is. But once you go down so far, see, it stays 53 degrees year round. So anyway, but yeah, so yeah, that's a hell of a lot of money, 21 trillion, and it was spent for the elite families: Rockefeller, Rothschild, Morgan, Carnegie, Warburg, Vanderbilt.
Nonsense.
Maybe even the Koch brothers. I don't know if they get to squeeze in there.
Nonsense. It was only the Rothschilds. Forget about the Morgans and the Vanderbilts. No. It's the Rothschilds only, exclusively the Rothschilds. Oh, where's my camera gone? Oh, there it is. Yes, Von Helton. Stop lying. You know that Von Helton lies?
But it's just for elites. It's not for me and you. It's just for elites. Elites are the only ones that get to.
Eugene.
What is that? Is that? Oh, that's his ears. I was like, what is that? What is that pointy thing sticking out? It's his ears. Okay, all right. But anyways, but yeah. So, I don't know if this has you upset. It has me upset because they used our money. You know, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers have enough money to build numerous facilities like these, and still have tons of money left over. And so why didn't they dig into their deep pockets and fund this? I think that the Rothschild and Rockefeller families and Morgan and Carnegie, I think all these elite families that these facilities have been made for should have to repay the American taxpayer. Call me crazy. But if this is even mildly true, the taxpayer should be refunded, because we're not allowed in there, boys and girls. We don't get to go. And that's a bunch of shit. I mean, if we're gonna spend money on a thing and it's our money that's being spent, we should reap the reward, right? Yeah, absolutely. But guess what? We don't get to go in there. It's only for elite families, millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires, and up. So, I just thought I'd share on this because this has me a little bit upset. I don't know if it has you upset, but it has me upset. So. And since it has me upset, I'm going to talk about it. Yes, I am. And so I shall. Oh, yeah. But I thought I'd share because it's coming, it wafted across my desk. And so, yeah.
Same old story.
By the way, I do have a desk. You all know I got a desk, right?
Oh, look, he does this every time.
There's my desk right there. I got a desk. So you can't say I don't have a desk anymore, trolls, because I do. There's my desk right there. Anyways.
New thing.
So when I say it came across my desk, it really did come across my desk. Wow, there you go. But anyways, I'm going to get out here because I've already spent 9 minutes. Holy sheep dip Batman. 9 minutes. 56, 57, 58, 59.
Ooh, you can count.
9 minutes, exactly. All right, that's going to do it. Y'all have a pleasant day and better tomorrow. Bye.
All right, so... So Shanny's gone for the night. She's signed off, as you can see. Oh, no, you can't see. How you be able to see? There you go. She's gone. She's done. So what I want to do is I want to get into the real news. Real news. Okay, so firstly, before we get into the real news, there's the point of view of Russia. This is how news is streamed to the Russians.
В самом деле исторический день. Многие, конечно, задают вопрос, что дальше? Будет ли война? Хочется ответить всем и сразу. Этим решением Российская Федерация страшную войну которая продолжается последние 7,5 лет, остановила лидеру как бы независимого как бы государства, предложили эвакуироваться куда-нибудь во Львов, и спецоперацию по эвакуации готовили американцы. То есть они и Украину в целом не ставят ни во что, и самого Зеленского не сильно серьезно воспринимают.
Мы вышли совершенно на другое положение. Мы находимся на другом положении принятия решений и будущего, которое, по крайней мере, открывает нам возможность жить. Жить нормально и безопасно.
Вы войну создаете своим решением, а то, что...
Мы живем в войне. Мы живем в войне. Последние четверть. Для вас это непонятно.
Будет тысячи людей в день.
Это не
Тысячи людей
демагогия.
Большая война. Будет большая война. Десятками...
Но мы же договорились вести себя адекватно. Я понимаю, что вам очень больно, но даже в НАТО уже смирились. Смиритесь и вы. Срочная новость. Секунду. Государственная Дума только что ратифицировала соглашение. Посмотрите, пожалуйста, абсолютнейшим большинством. Против нет, воздержавшихся нет. Все за. А также к разговору про втягивание в войну. Что случилось после признания Осетии и Абхазии? Где война? Где кошмар и ужас? Нет.
Не надо передергивать.
Закончилась.
Не надо передергивать.
Где война после возвращения Крыма в родной
Не надо
край?
передергивать. Они говорят...
Где война?
Можно я отвечу?
Нет войны.
Вот они
война
говорят, будет.
Завершилась.
Нет, они говорят, будет, потому что они говорят, мы хотим взять все те районы Донецкой и Луганской области, которые сейчас контролируются Украиной, и провести границу.
Как только туда войдет российская техника, война немедленно
Вы это знаете. Вы это знаете лучше меня. Что не слава,
товарищ Галкин, хоть раз Зеленский, вояка великая, пытался рот свой, пожалуйста, я пытаюсь с вами вежливо, но закройте его, ваш восхитительный рот. Хоть раз Зеленский пытался отвоевать Крым? Нет. Почему? Потому что в Крыму российская армия. Как только на Донбассе появится армия, война завершится. Хорош. Вот вы занимаетесь...
Вы живете в мире иллюзий, и российский народ будет страдать от того, что будут введены санкции, будет разрушена российская экономика, жрать будет нечего, это деньги будут ничего
Дорогой
не стоить.
Галкин,
и все это...
одну вещь тебе скажу. Пока российский народ страдает только от одного, наблюдая за твоими высказываниями. Вот от этого российский народ действительно страдает.
Взяли и там, так сказать, через него торговали.
Реакция ожидаемая в том, что касается наших западных коллег. Они привыкли за последние десятилетия все беды вешать на Российскую Федерацию, обвинять нас во всем и вся.
Галкин принял для себя единственно мудрое решение, эвакуировался во Львов. Пожелаем ему удачи. Алексей Александрович, вас поздравляю.
Да, этот день мы приближали как могли, говорится. А вот, знаете, нам, когда Крым вернулся в родную гавань, тоже говорили о том, что наша экономика будет разорвана в клочья, и нам будет нечего есть. Ну, что-то не получилось. Так и здесь не получится.
All right. Excuse me, I'm eating an apple. So, yeah, I couldn't understand anything. That's why I was following the subtitles because they were in English. So that's basically what's being fed to the Russian people through their television network. But this guy here, he's a Russian. and he has escaped. He's escaped Russia. I think the war started in February when Russia invaded Ukraine, and he was out by like September, and I started following ever since then, September 2022. I think that's when they left. And he brings daily news. He's got all sorts of contacts in Russia. I mean, he is Russian. He lived in the States for a few years, but he's an educated economist that is basically stateless right now. Anyway, I will leave this. I'll leave Konstantin to tell you all about it.
Do you know how I personally call these weekly economic reviews I do every Wednesday? The Chronicles of Disaster. Russian official media is silent these days. They don't do sugarcoating, they just hide the information and they silence it. Now, I do a lot of research targeting the economic situation, but I really have to dig deep, very deep, to get the data these days. On the microeconomic level, I look into large companies. So basically, I'm getting a lot of small pieces of information on Russian economy, and I put them together to get a big picture. I connect the dots. And what I am seeing these days is it's worse than I thought it would be. I called this situation in Russia the economic tsunami. It's Armageddon, really. The latest news, over 35,000 farms are gone. I see famine on the horizon, and that's not clickbait. Let me explain. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia. Usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian here. I am Russian by birth, analyst by choice. I lived it, I studied it, and I report it. I make Russia make sense. No BS, propaganda, or lies here, just the truth, common sense, and logic. And some emotions too, because I am living through the tragedy of the demise of my country. Now, welcome to Weekly Economic Update. This is Thursday, November 19th. I usually do a weekly update every Wednesday. Well, this week is a bit different, but this is the weekly update. The goal of this ongoing series is to document Russia's economic transformation in real time. Weekly, consistent coverage gives a truer picture than isolated headlines. Once a week, I track the same core dashboard: rates, budget, fuel, revenues, prices, industries, trades. So you can see what actually changed, why it matters, and where the trend is going. All my reports are built on verifiable public reporting, market data, and open sources. No hype, just facts and context. Now, let's get to the analysis. First, how I do the analysis. The economy can be analyzed at three main levels, each with its own scope and focus. They are the individual level, also called microeconomic agents. It studies individuals, households, and businesses. Then there is microeconomy, that studies specific sectors or markets, and macroeconomy. It studies entire national economy. And this is how I structure my weekly economic updates here at Inside Russia. I start with microeconomic agents. Basically, it's about what impact changes in the economy have on lives of regular folks and individual companies. And I'll start with the individual level today, as always. And I have a story to tell you. A story of an accountant. Now, I have a person I know in Russia. I'm not going to tell you the name, where that person lives, what companies he or she deals with. I'm not even going to tell you if it's a man or a woman, because I don't want to put anyone in danger. Now, let's say that it's an accounting company. The work is done mostly by one person. Quite a few companies, around 10 companies, are serviced. And the person lives in a large Russian city. Let it be it. Now, I've been getting lots of stories in the past couple of years from that person, and the latest one is this. The IRS have gone nuts. Russia's Internal Revenue Service are trying to get every penny it can from businesses. Not really get, but really squeeze out of a business. So the person gets a call from IRS, and IRS, Russian Revenue Service, and the agent. Now you got to understand that if you are an accountant of a company, you deal with one office of the Revenue Service, and then you have the manager, the person who works for Revenue Service. And if you work for a long time, you know each other. You know that person by name. You have direct contact. If they see something, they call you directly, and so it's a relationship. So a call from a Revenue Service office person, and person notifies that 2 companies are fined, and there's extra tax billed to the companies. Why? Well, I'm not going to get into the details, but 2 companies owned by one man, 100%, 2 LLCs, and that man owns some commercial property. He rents to own companies, and the thing is, he does not charge any rent to his companies because he is 100% owner. So he pays corporate profit, the income tax on his company's profits. So, and then that's always been like this for years now, perhaps decades. And the Internal Revenue Service person gets back saying, look, there's a new fine on both companies because they are using this commercial real estate, a facility, a warehouse or something like that, and not paying for it. But it belongs to the same person. He pays the income tax in both companies. Yes, but there has been a new order from the Internal Revenue Service in Moscow. It's an executive order, paper sent to us, and we must fine you according to that order. So that was a formal fine, and the fine was substantial, and the guy has to pay it. Now he has to change the way he does business. He has to come up with a rental agreement that he would rent his own property to these companies, and it complicates things. Okay, but he's fined, and the fines are legit according to this new information that came from the Revenue Service. Now, informally, the accountant asks the tax guy, and what the hell is going on? What are you doing? I mean, this company is already on the brink of bankruptcy. The sales are going down. You see the big picture. You see the books. Everything is done legit. And the tax guy comes back and says, look, we know, but we are between the rock and a hard place. Because in Moscow, they demand every single day more money, more money, more money, more money. And if we don't come up with new creative ways, just like this one, to fine you, then we can't get more money. And therefore, they go into after us. So we have to find a solution. And then the guy gets to the accountant and says, look, if you have any other ideas, you let us know, please. We'd really appreciate that. So this is what's going on in pretty much in every Russian city, in every Russian company. The government needs more money, more money, more money, and they're using very creative ways of getting the money. Now, the second story is I speak with a lot of people in Russia. I'd say that I have over 100 conversations with different people every single week in Russia. And the geography is very wide. Moscow, obviously, I spent almost 20 years in Moscow. Yeah. Moscow is, I consider it my second home. Then Rostov-on-Don, the southern city in Russia, 1 million people. That's where I grew up, and I lived there for 20 years as well. Novosibirsk, Omsk, Voronezh, St. Petersburg, you name it. The geography is the entire Russia. And for the past 2 months, as I'd say start in September, and I'm not going to give you numbers and figures here, okay? This is my subjective feeling, subjective understanding of the situation. This is what I, as an analyst, having all this information coming in daily, and from data from different sources in Russia and outside Russia, for that matter, and regular people telling their stories, telling their headaches, telling their pains, I started getting this feeling of everyone panicking. And right now the situation is worsening. Literally, last 2 months, people are getting desperate. So I want to message this thought to you. If you're interested in Russia and Russian economy and what's going on, people, regular folks, are getting desperate. They are laid off. Not all, okay, but once in a while, I get this feeling. And right now, if you're laid off, things are really bad. They don't look good at you. It's a nightmare. Didn't used to be like that. A year ago, you could really find a job, not well paying, but you could find source of income fast. Now, the situation is different because layoffs are massive. Now, once in a while, I hear of a layoff. Every single day, I hear complaints, outcries about prices, food prices going up, and prices for everything going up. Crazy. More and more businesses are closing. And the latest I heard, Moscow, the Beverly Hills of Moscow, the very center called Patriarchy Prudy, Patrick. If you ever been to Moscow, chances are you've been there. The richest Russians live there. The highest, the most expensive real estate. Restaurants are closing. Very expensive restaurants, and people didn't count money there in the past. Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, Ferraris. If you're in Patrick, you know, because you look around and you see wealth around you. And then tons of restaurants, very expensive ones. Well, they've been closing in the second quarter of this year, and the last week brought us 3 more fancy restaurants closing down in Patrick area. Now, people complain. People are afraid of the future. They're very scared of the financial situation, and they definitely see that this feeling of things are unwell in the country. Okay. Now, the story of Russian propaganda is different. They've stopped sugarcoating things, really. They just decide not to speak of the economic problems. You won't hear a story of Russian companies closing down, laying people off, or you won't hear stories that things are fine, They prefer to act as if economy is not a big part of life of Russians. Now, this is my subjective opinion, but I get this feeling, this vibe from Russian people that things are not well. Despair, fear, and sometimes panicking, if to summarize. Now, the fridge starts winning over the TV. And I'll be talking more about that later. We are seeing now the Russian people really have started picking up the bill for Putin waging this war on Ukraine. And, I've been telling it for the past almost 4 years. They finally start listening to me. Now, let's move to the second part of the report, to the markets, to the macroeconomic analysis. The first market I would like to talk for is transportation. Big troubles in Russia's transportation system, rail transportation system, RZD. Russia, I've mentioned a few times in the previous live streams, Russia has three major ways of transporting people and goods. First is by air, second is by road, and the third is by railroads. And now, the most inexpensive, affordable way for Russians to travel throughout Russia is by the rail. It used to be like in the USSR, and now we're back to the times where people use rail service a lot. There's tons of railroad tracks in Russia, I think millions of kilometers, and old trains that still are going, and pretty much the entire Russia is covered by railroad tracks, and then you can get to any part of Russia by rail. Now, the one company that owns that railroad network and all the trains owns that. The only country that the only company is in charge of everything is RZD. It's a state monopolist. It's owned 100% by the state. You know, it's all long has been a source of stealing money from Russian taxpayers. It's a big business. I personally have been to the HQ of RZD. I tried to sell, in my previous companies, I tried to sell service, and I've seen ways how they did business. I'm pretty sure that they still do the same. I know how they work. Perhaps, you know, I should talk about it. It's a little sensitive information, but not today. Anyway, the rumors have it is that RZD is a big problem. Propaganda is silent, of course. RZD is, for the most part, silent, but they are laying, well, they can't lay people off. They are reducing the number of work days in a week for some employees, and their employees count is in millions of people. Okay, there's so many people involved. So they start sending people away to unpaid vacations. You can do that. And they start having people to work an extra day for free. And they start reducing work week for some non-essential personnel. Big trouble is brewing in RZD. And the recipe to get well is fairly simple. RZD have done it many times. It usually goes to the Russian government and says, we need a bailout. And Russian government always bailed them out. Except for now, there is no money. Russian government is just can't bail it out. The bailout times are over. RZD is something I keep my eyes open and monitor very closely because it's one of those huge gargantuan companies that are the backbone of Russian economy, I should say. Another backbone is Russian oil and gas. And we start seeing the financial reports from Russian oil companies for the first 9 months of 2025. And let me tell you, well, first of all, nothing unexpected. But before I forecasted, now I start seeing the reports. It's the fact. Rosneft, Russia's largest oil producer, that's under direct sanctions from the USA, showed 72% decline in net profit compared to first months of 2024. 72% decline. How about that? Now, why is that so? Very simple. Because Russian oil is, well, the company is under sanctions, not just Russian oil, okay? The company cannot sell so much oil. It keeps on selling, exporting oil, but the higher risks of getting caught for the buyers, the higher the discounts they demand. Right now, The discounts for Russian oil are called Urals compared to Brent, $25 per barrel. Now, Brent and Urals are different kinds of oil. Their chemical composition is different, but it's still oil. And before the war, Russian Urals was always cheaper than Brent, but not by much, by $2 to $3. That's what the discounts were, $2 to $3. Well, the maximum discount recorded before the war was $7, and that was not for a long time. That was a short period. Now it's $25. Okay. And Brent is trading at 62 right now. This past week, 62. And Russian oil fell to 38.28, $38 last week. It's near the cost of full production cycle for Russian oil. It used to be the biggest bread maker for Russian budget. Before the war, oil and gas revenues amounted to up to 47% of the federal budget, almost half. Now, 22%. Net profit of Rosneft right now is less than 300 billion rubles. That's nothing for the one of world's largest importer of not importer, producer of oil. That's $4 billion. That's it. Wow. Russian well-being, oil and gas, it's kaput. Now, more news about oil. About 20 million barrels of Russian oil are at sea in super tankers right now, and no ports are accepting them to unload oil. And no one really knows what to do with that oil. They just keep on going around, I guess, or anchored somewhere. The latest is the Chinese are refusing Russian oil. They're refusing Russian oil tankers to enter ports and unload Russian oil. Turkey now buys 200,000 barrels per day, and in the beginning of the year it used to be 400,000. So Turkey has decreased buying Russian oil by 50%. It used to refine Russian oil and send the refined products, gas and diesel fuel, to Europe to sell in Europe. Now Europeans have ended that. They do not buy Russian the products of refined oil from Russia. So, Turkey is pushing Russia out of its market, and it's replacing Russia with other companies. 200,000 barrels per day now, 400,000 barrels per day before, just 9 months before. That's the picture of what's going on. Now, Putin rushed to India. Obviously, I made a live stream about that. Check it out. I'm going to place a link right here. Putin rushed to India because he needs to keep on selling the oil to Indians. And, he tried to, or he actually made a sale of Russian technologies. But you know what? Just a few days later, after his visit, 4 largest oil refineries in India refused buying Russian oil. So is the result of his meeting? Not so good. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is non-payment crisis. Russia is having a few crises right now, and one of them is very deep and very systemic. It's called non-payment crisis. Now, I mentioned it just 3 or 4 weeks ago in one of the reports, and I want to talk more about it. It is ongoing crisis, and it's worsening. I will be talking more about that in the future because it's going to get worse and worse. Now, what's happening is large state-owned companies do not pay for products or supplied or services provided. Why? Because they don't have money to pay. Russia is in a huge wave of economic crisis. It is comprehensive. It concerns everyone. That's state-owned companies and small businesses, large private businesses. It's affecting everyone and everything, including the state-owned corporations. Besides the economy being affected from a great deal, they can't. Their sales are dropping. The financing is drying up. They are affected by the general economic situation. Besides that, they are used by the state to get money extensively. I'll just give you one example. In the summer of 2022, Gazprom was still exporting gas to Europe and was swimming in money. It was one of Russia's richest companies. Gazprom back then, until August of 2022, literally was earning mountains of money. The state came and seized 1.2 trillion rubles, equivalent of $24 billion, as a one-time emergency tax to help the Russian federal budget. And things like that have happened to numerous companies, and taxes, licenses, fees are increased despite the companies owned by the state. So it's one of the sources to get more money for the state. Now, most companies, including state-owned, aren't doing well, but they need things to continue operating. They procure products, services from private businesses through a defined procedure. And that's actually an official law that defines how procurements are done. That law was created over 10 years ago. It's called 223 ФЗ, 223 ФЗ, федеральный закон. And I used it in my previous work. When I worked for construction, we used to build power plants. Now, the law regulates everything. How procurement is done. It must be a public bidding. All companies must be allowed to enter bidding. It regulates how payments are done and everything else, really. Once you win bidding and sign a government contract, everything becomes simple. All you have to do is to deliver your product according to contract clauses, according to the contract, and you will get paid. That's they used to be guaranteed. Now the state-owned companies do not pay. I faced this problem before. We had so-called blacklist of companies in our company, in our corporation. We would not even go near those companies, and they simply didn't pay. And usually this blacklist came from experience. We would sign a contract with a company, we would deliver for them, and they wouldn't pay us. We would have to take them to court, and in a couple occasions, even courts didn't rule into our favor. Now, those two companies who were at the very top for me, personally I supervised that blacklist, were Rosneft and Rosatom. The Russian nuclear agency, Rosatom, that builds and operates all nuclear power plants, and Rosneft. Rosneft is owned by Igor Sechin, Putin's closest business partner, friend, and Igor Sechin is above the law. Rosatom is above the law. They don't pay, and no one even wants to sue. They are afraid of Rosneft going after them. So that was 7 years ago, and I'm pretty sure it is now. So those companies, they didn't pay us, and we couldn't even sue them. I think on 2 occasions, courts did not even take our claims. Okay, they said, look, we're not going to go. That's courts. Not going to go against Rosneft. Now, these companies, both companies, are the state itself. But that was exception to the rule. And now non-payment has become the rule. Things have changed. If it was Rosneft, Rosatom, and a few companies, I think we had like 10 or 11 on our list. Right now, it's all companies that are owned by the state. And this crisis didn't start yesterday. I have a proof. Back in March, private companies were getting together and complained. The first complaint was recorded on the 13th of March through Association of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. They filed the first complaint for state companies non-paying. You see, some Russian companies have it in their business strategies to serve exclusively to state-owned corporations. And it used to work in the past. They bought the state-owned corporations. Sometimes they're monopolies in certain markets. They bought things in large quantities and they paid. Now things changed. And what do such companies do? The large corporations don't pay because they can't get away with it. And the small companies, the suppliers, they get together and complain. And that's all they can do. I reported on a non-payment crisis getting out into the public space 3 weeks ago in the beginning of November. And the news keep on coming in, and the crisis is becoming more and more acute. The number of companies against complaining against state-owned corporations has jumped by 250% since the beginning of this year. 40% of all suppliers have faced non-payments. Every fourth company out of 10, every 4 company out of 10 who have supplied goods and services to state-owned corporations in Russia have not gotten paid. 4 out of 10. 4 trillion rubles are dead, outstanding, meaning 4 trillion rubles the state-owned corporations have not paid to the suppliers of goods and services. $1.5 trillion are owned by the military industrial complex enterprises. Even the military industrial complex doesn't pay any longer. And I don't see how this situation is going away tomorrow. I don't know how it will improve. It contributes more to chaos, to the general economic disaster of Russia. The growing and all-consuming non-payment crisis is another phase of the economic demise of Russia. And it's serious. And it's definitely something that I keep monitoring, and I will keep informing you on that. Now, let me take a little pause. English breakfast tea by Twinings. It's really good stuff. Yeah, it's my favorite. No, I'm not sponsored by this company. I just like the tea. Friends, if you're enjoying this message so far, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you are not subscribed yet, helps a lot. If you subscribe while you're watching this message, it gives a YouTube signal that this video is valued by people so much that they subscribe. They decide to put this channel on the short list. And it's a good thing for the algorithm. Also, after this message is over, please leave a comment sharing what you think of what I've said today. And please let us know which part of the world you're watching this from. You know, I asked this before, and the first time I asked, a lot of people actually wrote and it turned out to be a fantastic experience. After every video I read, I reply once in a while, thousands of messages. I just can't comments. I can't reply to them all, but I read them a lot of most of them, and I it's just so amazing to know that people from all over the world are part of Inside Russia community, watching this and commenting, and it's just it's become one of my most favorite things to do on this channel. So please let me know. Let us all know, because I know a lot of other people also watch and see where people are watching from. So please let us know where you're watching this from right now. Thank you so much. It's fantastic. Now, I would like to talk more of a Russian car maker. This company, Avtovaz, the only Russian manufacturer of passenger cars. Now, really, it's not Avtovaz. It's called Avtovaz, but it's a Fiat. Back in the 60s, Russia did not produce own cars, right? So it had repatriated a few factories from Germany after World War II, and it was making a couple American cars, stole the design. So they needed own car. So they bought a plant in Italy, and the company that sold the plant was Fiat. And basically, Avtovaz, they renamed it, and it used to be Fiat in Italy. Now it moved to Togliatti, the Central Russian. It became Avtovaz. And it's pretty much still the same company, the same plants, and producing, different models, but you all see Ladas. Now, the head of Avtovaz, Maxim Sokolov, the CEO, he complained that the Chinese cars sell their own cars in Russia for way too cheap. Because of the Chinese cars being so inexpensive, Avtovaz cannot increase the prices of its models, of its cars. Now, there is a new tax in Russia. It's called the utilization tax, and Avtovaz was behind the creation of that tax. So every foreign made and imported car into Russia, an owner must pay huge tax. The purpose of the tax is so when the car is out of operation, it goes to a junkyard, the state would recycle it. So the owner pays for the whoever's, but it's crazy, right? The initial owner who buys brand new car will pay, and not just brand new, used too, for any car that gets into Russia, pays for its recycling down the road. Now, the Avtovaz was behind this tax because it benefits Avtovaz directly. The more expensive foreign cars, the more affordable the Russian Avtovaz Lada cars are. Now, this huge tax is being paid now. That doesn't work. Discounts on the Chinese are still selling their cars way too cheaper than Ladas, even though Russian owners pay utilization tax on them. Now discounts on the Chinese cars reach up to 1 million rubles. And Maxim Sokolov complained of the biased attitude towards domestic cars. There is biased attitude, and Maxim Sokolov is absolutely right. The Russian cars are crap. Everything that comes from Avtovaz is crap. And then people are biased. And I'd rather buy a Chinese car, which is far from perfect, trust me, than buy Lada. Now, the question we should be asking the CEO of Avtovaz is, why do the Chinese sell their cars way cheaper than Avtovaz, the cars that are produced far away, that are transported by rail or by trucks, that are taxed twice, utilization tax and foreign car import duty tax, okay? They make it all the way from China. On the way, they pay so much to have that car to be able to sell it in Russia, and that's still way cheaper than AvtoVAZ that produces cars right in Russia. What the hell is going on? And the second question I would ask this guy is that why AvtoVAZ sells why does AvtoVAZ sell Russian cars, Ladas, cheaper in Belarus than in Russia? That's a fact. Oh boy. I really don't know how to describe the situation with Russian car manufacturing. In the USSR, they were producing fairly the same cars. Now they look a little different. They, in characteristics, the horsepower, the speed, they're pretty much the same. The both crap in the USSR, quality was terrible. In right now in Russia, quality is terrible. But at least in the USSR, they were in the great demand, And AvtoVAZ was selling as much as many cars as it could produce. Now, the latest I heard of, AvtoVAZ, I don't really know where it's headed to. Are they gonna close the company? I don't know. Now there's an announcement that came from AvtoVAZ that they're going to slash salaries of its workers by half. I think starting January 1st. And they claim that there are no sales. Now, I've talked a lot about Russian car sales just tanking. There's the nearly zero. The new Russian cars, AvtoVAZ doesn't sell anything. But it's one thing to talk about great decline in car sales, and it's another thing to see the real result of that. And the result is people getting paid 50% less than they got paid in the previous month. And AvtoVAZ workers did not get paid much. Average salary was 70,000 rubles per month. And that's about $900. And now it's going to be $450. That's just the first step in the line of many, because what are they going to do later on into 2026 and 2027 when no one still buys Ladas and then they still have expenses, okay? They're going to lay more and more people off, and they're going to cut salaries more and more. Now, enough about AvtoVAZ. Let's talk about layoffs. Another phase of the crisis in Russia is companies just not doing well. And what do you do when you don't do well? You lay your employees off. You try to save money. Layoffs are happening like a wave in private sector. And in the military-industrial complex, also, Uralvagonzavod, Russia's largest tank manufacturer, largest war factory, minus 20,000 people, or 10%. I'm sorry. That's a little too much. 2,000 people. Yes. Too many numbers. Please forgive me. 20,000, that's the total number of employees of Uralvagonzavod. 2,000 out of 20, 10%. Sberbank. Sber is Russia's largest bank controlled by the state. Minus 20%. Minus 20%. Minus 20%. Every fifth employee is got to go. And that's happening now. They must finish the layoffs in January. VTB, another huge Russian-owned bank, significant layoffs. They announced the layoffs. They didn't say who and how many people, but they said that the significant layoffs are coming in the very near future. In Pskov province, 4 large factories have permanently switched to 3-day work week. From 5 to 4, now to 3-day work week. That's pay cut of 40%. The total amount of workers affected is around 2,000 people. Rostov, Russia's only combine harvester manufacturer, Rosilmash, has announced that it will be laying people off. I remind you, it closed down in the summer for a month and a half and sent everyone on unpaid vacation. Now, so they started working again because, the demand picked up a little bit because the harvest in Russia happens in July, August, and September. And now the situation is so dire that it's not switching to 4-day work week to 3-day work week. It's not sending people onto unpaid vacation. That's laying off, permanent letting go. Okay. Now, what I'm seeing right now is kind of like 2 pictures of the reality. This is Russian economic war room. What you're seeing behind me, this is a huge table I have, a couple computers, a couple telephones, and every single day I have information coming in. Okay, I write things down, I make mental notes, and this is it. This is one of world's largest centers for gathering economic information. Okay, I do that constantly, and I'm seeing 2 pictures right now. The first picture is real picture. People, as I said in the beginning, are panicking. They are scared, and they're confused. They don't know what to do. Many people did not expect this to come. Oh, they certainly never watched Inside Russia. I've been talking about it by 3.5 years. I'm not the only one. Okay, I'm not taking all the credit. There are quite a few very good economists who speak in Russian. They don't live in Russia because you can't do honest reporting and live in Russia. You'd get arrested for that. The state doesn't like you. He targets you. Now, they're outside of Russia. There are not too many, but there are quite a few. Igor Lipsis among them. He's my teacher. I grew up as an economist. I was taught based on his books, He does excellent reporting. There are a few other ones. There's a second camp, those who sugarcoated a lot in the past, but even they now are telling more and more of the economic disaster. Now, people from Russia sending one very unambiguous signal. Everything is, snafu, if you know what I mean. There's a different picture, a different reporting. That's Russian propaganda. Now, two distinct periods of time. First was 2023 summertime through 2024 June. I call that period grand sugarcoating. Vladimir Putin's presidential election was coming up in March of 2024. And boy, they sugarcoated everything. And I did reports every week. And you remember, if you watch me long enough, you remember what was coming out of Russia. Now, hang on, one of my computers is running out of juice. Now, right after Vladimir Putin was elected and the government was shaken up and a few ministers were moved, few replaced, I remember Elvira Nabiulina, the person who had talked so much about how great Russian economy was doing, recovering from economic troubles, going through this economic storm well, and going around the sanctions and all of that. All of a sudden, she came up and she completely changed her point of view. She said, you know what, we're going to very serious economic crisis. That was June of 2024. And after that, Russian propaganda stopped sugarcoating, but economic news still came in here and there. Okay. And its thing is, it was not considered such a huge problem, the economy. And it wasn't, because Russia still had reserves, money reserves. It was covering things up with money. Now, the reserves were gone in 2025, and all of a sudden, everyone realized there's a tsunami, and there's not much they could do. It's too late to run. And that was when Russian propaganda simply stopped talking of Russian economy. It doesn't exist. If you tune into Russian news, you will see plenty of things. You will see lots of things of how Ukrainian Zelensky is terrible guy, how this totalitarian state Ukraine has turned into, how Russian army is doing great in Ukraine, advancing so fast and so far, taking huge city after city and all of that. You will hear much about America, and that information comes depending on what is the stand to Donald Trump. If he starts negotiating with Russia, he's the best guy ever, our man in Washington, all of that. And then if he places sanctions, he's gone mad, he's a clown, and all of that. So it goes back and forth. That's pretty much what Russian, and a lot of news about how Russian society is helping the boys in the front lines. And that's what you see, but you don't see anything especially negative about Russian economy. And there's nothing positive, so there's nothing really. So I call this ongoing report weekly economic review, but really it's become the Chronicles of Disaster. I don't know whether I should rename it. Please let me know in the comments. And again, friends, thank you very much. It's lonely to sit here in front of the camera and speak to the camera. It's sometimes, it drives you nuts. But then when you have a community of people, once you turn the live stream off and you start seeing the comments popping up, this is fantastic. That's really, really important to me. So it gives me a sense of community, a sense of me speaking to a bunch of real people.
Well, yeah, there's that. So he goes on for a whole 90 minutes, and we've pretty much got through half. So you get the gist of where he's coming from. So we'll probably follow him on a more regular basis to find out what's happening inside Russia. Looks like things are imploding. I mean, he's not the only guy who's saying, shit's hitting the fan pretty quick. There are quite a few commentators who are pretty much preaching the same message. Russia's fucked. They fall into pieces. In terms of Von Helton and Shanny, I think they've both dozed off for the night. And so I might as well do the same thing. Good night, Konstantin. It was really nice to have you, but we've got to end it now. And we don't have any more. And we don't have any more of that. That's all we got. Please buy me a coffee on the way out. The way to do that, of course, is to go to the link that's scrolling, or just take a picture of the QR code in the top corner. The last thing I've got to say to you guys is Thank you for watching. You guys are the best. I love you. Take care. What have I done? And I'll see you soon. Guaranteed. See you soon. Okay, let's see how this works.